Did you know that one of the most important conflicts of the 21st century began with no official declaration of war, yet reshaped global politics in a matter of days? The Russia-Ukraine war is not just a regional dispute. It is a clash of history, identity, borders, power, and the future of Europe. To understand why this war matters, you must understand how two neighboring countries became locked in one of the most destructive conflicts of our time. This is the story summarized in 7 minutes. The roots of the conflict go back centuries. Ukraine has long existed between empires, kingdoms, and competing identities. For hundreds of years, it was ruled by powers such as the Russian Empire, Poland, Lithuania, and later the Soviet Union. When the USSR collapsed in 1991, Ukraine voted overwhelmingly for independence. But independence did not erase the past, especially not for Russia. To Russia's leaders, Ukraine was more than a neighboring country. It was culturally tied, historically connected, and strategically essential. Losing Ukraine meant losing influence, military position, and access to the Black Sea. For many Ukrainians, however, independence meant finally determining their own future. These competing visions would collide again and again. In 2014, the first major rupture occurred. After months of protests in Kyiv, known as the Euromaidan Revolution, Ukraine moved toward closer ties with Europe. Russia responded by annexing Crimea and supporting separatist movements in the eastern regions of Donetsk and Luhansk. This marked the beginning of a low-intensity war that never fully stopped. But everything changed on February 24, 2022. Before sunrise, Russia launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine. Missiles struck airports, military bases, and cities across the country. Tanks crossed multiple borders. Hundreds of thousands of civilians fled in the first days. What Moscow believed would be a quick operation turned into a long and brutal war. Ukraine resisted fiercely. The capital city, Kyiv, became the symbol of defiance. Ukrainian forces halted Russian advances, regrouped, and pushed back. President Volodymyr Zelensky refused to evacuate, famously saying, "I need ammunition, not a ride." This moment shifted global opinion and brought massive support from Europe and the United States, including financial aid, weapons, and sanctions against Russia. But the war grew increasingly destructive. Cities like Mariupol, Bakhmut, and Severodonetsk became battlegrounds of grinding urban combat. Entire neighborhoods were flattened. Millions of Ukrainians were displaced, making it one of the largest refugee crises since World War II. Throughout 2023 and 2024, the front lines shifted slowly. Ukraine launched counteroffensives to retake occupied territories. Russia fortified defensive lines and expanded drone and missile attacks. Neither side achieved a decisive breakthrough, and the war settled into a draining cycle of attrition. But behind the battles, something larger was happening. The war reshaped global alliances. NATO expanded with new members. Europe reduced its dependence on Russian energy. Countries worldwide were forced to choose political positions, even those far from the conflict. The war also accelerated debates about sovereignty, security, nationalism, and the future of international order. For ordinary people, however, the impact was devastating. Families were separated, homes were destroyed, soldiers on both sides faced conditions of extreme hardship. Civilians lived under constant air raid sirens. Entire generations of Ukrainians and Russians now carry the psychological scars of a conflict they did not choose. And yet, despite the destruction, Ukraine has continued to resist. Cities have rebuilt, schools reopened, and communities adapted to survive under extraordinary circumstances. Russia, too, has absorbed the consequences: economic strain, loss of soldiers, and growing internal tensions. Today, the war remains unresolved. Negotiations have repeatedly failed. Both sides believe they must continue fighting to secure their future. The outcome is uncertain. What is certain, however, is that the world will feel the impact of this conflict for decades. The war in Ukraine is not just about land. It is about identity, sovereignty, and the right of nations to determine their own destiny. It is about how far a country will go to defend itself, and how far another will go to regain what it believes it lost. In the end, the war is a reminder of something deeply human. That even in the modern age of satellites, diplomacy, and international law, old ambitions, fears, and histories can still ignite into devastating conflict. And this story, still unfolding, will shape the world for years to come.